Hello, everybody, and welcome back from a beautiful day here in Canada. Hope everybody's doing groovy. I know I am. So, today I thought I would do something a little out of my comfort zone. So, I was going to do a 3D French in rainbow. So, I've got a few colors that I've picked out. The first will be the purple acrylic, the blue nail polish, the green nail polish, the red nail polish, the orange nail polish, the pink nail polish, and last but not least, the yellow nail polish. Now, I only do have nail polishes. I do not have those fancy gels or anything like that, so I will be doing the design mostly in the nail polish. However, I will be starting out the smile line with that purple acrylic that you saw, so I can get that started and get myself a nice little ledge to begin. So what I'm going to just start with is I'm going to extend my hand's nail to the longest that I have of the forms. So I have maximum amount of space that I could use for the nail. And I've actually never really extended a nail on camera before. So this was my first, and it actually went pretty well. I was actually quite impressed with myself. But the brush that I was using was not that great for it, but actually when I started, I had to throw out two brushes because I noticed one brush didn't have any bristles at all, and it was the weirdest thing because I have no idea where they went. So that was just kind of weird. So I had to use this brush because this was the most decent brush that I had. But I did notice that it kept clumping and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a pain in my butt. But, I'm going to have to invest in some more decent brushes. But for the time being right now, I'm just going to use this one and get through this project until I can get some more brushes. I think I have some coming on the way. I'm just waiting for the mail from China, naturally. So I might be waiting for a little bit. But that's okay because I've ordered them. So I can't wait to receive them. So there, I've actually got the nail extended to probably the end, right to the very end of the form. I did it to as far as it could go. And then I off camera, I filed it just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. It didn't need filing too badly. So now what I'm going to do is just start with my little, I guess you want to call it a smile line, but it's used for the ledge of the 3D effect. So that's just what I'm going to do here. And I know you'll notice that I'm actually trying to use a different brush to pick up the purple because it was a little bit of a smaller brush. I thought maybe I would need a smaller brush, but then when I was dipping it into the acrylic, I was noticing that I wasn't getting anything on my brush because it was just way too small. Like, look at that. That's just a pathetic little bead, and that wasn't doing me justice at all. So, I had to switch brushes again because the other brush was my nemesis today, but I don't really have a choice. I'm going to have to kind of use it just until, the other ones come in. So I am trying to use this little tiny brush, but it's like such a small little thing. I'm only able to pick up like a tiny little bead at a time. So for some reason, this little bead or this little smile line gave me grief, something fierce. I'm not really sure why, but I think it was just probably because of the brush that I was using. But in the end, it actually turned out not so bad. So I just struggled a little bit with the little smile line. No worries, not a big deal. But I wanted to see if I could actually accomplish this 3D rainbow French nail. And I think it turned out to be pretty decent. I did do it in practice before, so I will clearly show you pictures and a video of this nail and the nail I did previous. Really the only difference is the length of the nails. The one that I originally did was just a little bit shorter than this one, so I just was able to fit in all of the colors. But this nail here is a little bit longer, and I didn't, kind of make room for a little bit bigger of a color each time I placed them down, so I had a little bit extra over like the nails, so it was a lot yellow at the end, but that's okay because it still turned out really nice. So and in the end you'll see the two pictures. In the beginning I also see the picture of the one long nail and the shorter nail, but actually they turned out pretty decent for some newbie here that really struggles with pretty much everything. So, but actually, yeah, I was actually quite impressed with myself and how this turned out. And let me just tell you though that the camera does not do the design any justice. It looks way better in person, but I still wanted to videotape it and show you all. So now I'm going to come in with the blue nail polish right underneath the purple acrylic that I just laid down to start the beginning of the effect of the design. Now I am using regular nail polish. I find that it's easier to work with for me because I was watching some videos originally when these came out and people were doing them with acrylic or acrygel or polygel, and I don't have the experience for that, nor do I have the financial pocket to be able to afford that. So fortunately I wasn't able to do it that way, but that's okay because it'll still turn out just the way you want it. You're just using a different product. The only problem with this way is that you always have to wait for the nail polish to dry before you can put the clear over top of it, which, you know, I mean, coming old school, you had to do that anyway from the beginning of time when you were a little kid doing your nails. You always had to wait for the nail polish to dry. So there really isn't any change here. It's just waiting and the different steps that you had to do. So not a biggie, you know, as long as you have some patience and you can wait, then this will turn out fantastic for you. And I always try to, when I'm brushing in the colors, I'm trying to make sure that the lines are straight and everything. And I did crispen up the lines with the nail file off camera, of course, so that I could have those nice straight lines so that you can get that really nice effect. So there we have it. I've laid down the blue right underneath the purple. So now it's just a matter of waiting for that blue to dry, and then carrying on to laying over the clear over top of it. So there, I am picking up the clear, and I am covering that blue that I just laid down, and trying to get the same shape as the smile line that I laid down with the purple acrylic. But sometimes that just doesn't work for me, especially with this brush. I don't have a point to the brush, and it was just, in places, it was causing me a little bit of grief. But I managed to work it. It just took a couple of more minutes here and there to tweak it, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So right here, I'm just trying to put it in place the way I want it and bring up the sides so that I can file the crisp lines to continue on with the effect of the 3D design. I mean, this brush is pretty decent. It's just, it's not really too great for this particular design because this particular design requires, I think anyway, the use of the body or the tip, and because of the way the brush is shaped, it didn't really get the, you know, the effect the first try the way I wanted it to. But no worries. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you gotta work with your brushes the way they are. So, you know, lesson learned here, unfortunately. But I guess it's fortunate because I actually learned how to do it properly. So, so yeah, and then, you know, just tweaking it here and making sure that I've got enough clear to cover the blue that I just laid down. And then once that dries, then we carry on to the next color, which is green. So I'm just going to use the green nail polish, my next color, and lay it right underneath the blue that we just placed down with the clear over top of it. And I do file these the clear polishes, but I just do it off camera because nobody really wants to see anybody filing it. It's kind of boring. But I just make sure that I have nice, straight, crisp lines so that I can lay down the nail polish perfectly. And I have those nice straight lines so that it makes the whole thing flow nicely, sorry. I'm having a speech problem today. And English is my first language. Fancy that. So I'm just trying to get the polish down on the bottom now to match up those smile lines. Now I don't always get the smile lines to match up as perfectly as they should be because, it's still a little, practice for me, but it actually turned out not so bad. I was actually quite thrilled, especially with all the different colors. I wasn't sure how it was actually going to look. So that's why I tried to do a practice one before I actually started filming. And you always know every time you're filming, something always has to mess up. The practice will go smoothly, but when you're actually filming, that's when you'll have mistakes. And yep, and I did, and that's okay. So there we go. So once that green dries there, then we can carry on to the next stage, which is putting the clear over top of it. I'm not really actually sure why I just showed you the red there because, oh yes, no, I do remember my son came in and distracted me and I forgot to put the clear over top of the green. So I kind of jumped the gun there, my apologies. The red color is the next after we place the clear over top of the green there that we just laid down because it's dried now and it should be good to go. So just kind of pushing it up to the sides there so that it all flows and try to get that little ledge there so that I can file it to a nice crisp line. And I just had to kind of use my brush and kind of push it up a little bit instead of using the point to lift it, which not a big deal. It's just a little more effort. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? When you don't have the proper tools. And then once that is actually dried in place, then I can actually start to file it so that I get that crisp line again and put down the red. Sorry, my daughter just walked into the room and I had to pause, so I'm not sure if I have any gap in there, but I apologize. She didn't realize that I was trying to do the voiceover. But yeah, I think the most challenge of this whole design is just placing down the color, placing over the acrylic or the gel, whatever you're using. That's the only thing that's time consuming because you've got to wait in between everything, which kind of be a pain in the butt. But whatever, you got to deal with it if you want to do this effect. So now is the time now that I can start with the red polish and place it down right underneath and on the sides of the clear of the green that I just fixed down. And I like the red too because the red's way easier to see over top of the clear, because then the clear kind of looks like a greeny clear, so at least it's easier to see with the red over top of it. And then I can follow the lines properly, especially with the paintbrush there. And because sometimes the surface of the nail that I try putting down is not always flat, or yeah, flat. It's got some sort of divots in it, but I didn't really want to tweak it too much because I didn't want to snap the nail before I was able to, start the design. So I wanted to keep the nail as thin as possible so that after filing and everything, it wasn't as bulky. But still, I can't seem to file this down so that it's not as bulky. I don't know what the trick to the filing is, but I always have just a little bit more bulk than I would like when I'm doing the 3D French. But I guess it's still a learning curve for me here. So, I'll get it done eventually. I keep going back to it every once in a while and see if I can do it again. So again, once the red dries, then we can carry on to put the clear over top of the red that we had just laid down, and carry on with a pattern of keeping up that clear so I can try to make those crisp lines and make it even with the smile lines that have already been placed down. But like I said, this brush isn't that great, so it does give me grief here and there because I'm not able to kind of like push it into place. So the acrylic is running a little bit before I have time to catch it. And I think with a better brush, I would be able to at least hold it in place for a couple of seconds. But see, like you can see, it's sticking everywhere. And it's becoming frustrating. So I'm just glad that I'm doing the voiceover because there probably would have been a lot of swear words. But, I mean, for the first time of me doing a 3D French rainbow on video, I think I did a pretty great job, considering I'm a newbie, and I can't tell you how many of these 3D French nails I've tried within the last few months. I'd say a good 15 of them in different varieties of colors and stuff like that. So I'm still practicing, but I thought I really, really wanted to try the rainbow. And of course I had to try it on camera, which is probably the biggest challenge of all. But I did it, nevertheless. And I didn't realize that I was going to have an issue with my brush, because the brush never really gave me an issue before. However, I haven't always been doing this design where I actually need a tip or need the body of the brush. Body of this brush is very little, so it didn't kind of work in my favor. So now that the clear of that one is dry, we can move on to the next color, which is orange. And the orange is same as the red. It's really easy to see on the clear that you just placed down. So it's easier for me to do those nice lines, straight and even, so it doesn't look all jagged when you're filing and stuff like that. Because after a while, when you get down and down the nail, you don't have as much to cover on the sides of the smile line because there's not enough room. So it's just a matter of trying to get the smile line down as much as you want it to cover it with the clear. But if I had have actually used more space on the nail for each color, I think that would have been better. But I didn't make do in my head for that, so I was just kind of doing the same thing as I did on my practice nail before off camera, and I didn't think about the length of the nail. So you'll see in the end there where I've got a lot of yellow at the end of the nail, so I didn't want to start the rainbow all over again because it just would have been tedious and I wouldn't have gotten all of the colors all on the rainbow twice. So I just stopped with the yellow and just used as much for the rest of the nail on the yellow. It turned out really pretty. Now, I'm not a stiletto kind of gal, So I would never wear my nails this long. I wouldn't be able to function. But I just wanted to see if I was able, for one, to build the extension, the stiletto extension, and for two, if I could build 3D French over top of that extension that I just made. And I did it. So this was a twofer video, I guess. So now just adding that clear again so I can cover the orange that we just laid down. And I know there's a lot of acrylic there, and I know I've got a lot of filing to do, but that's okay because every time I do these 3D Frenches, I've always got to file like a mamma jamma. And that's cool because I'm getting better at filing too, so it's not so much of a task. When I first started this, like literally I was filing one nail for an hour and still didn't get the effect that I wanted in the end. You know, they really do to say that practice makes perfect, because it really is true. You can watch all the videos in the world, but you actually need practical experience for stuff like this. And you know, you got to do trial and error, and this is my trial and error. I can see like my brush is like fraying and stuff, and it's getting fuzzy and stuff, and that is such a pain in the butt. But I can't really switch brushes out right in the middle of the design, so I'm kind of have to just grin and bear it, not use any swear words as I go. That's the challenge, I think, right now. But, you know, it actually is turning out pretty decent. I mean, look, you can see just so far as what I've got there. You can see the different colors of the rainbow, and you can kind of see how the effect will turn out. But, like, there is a lot of bulk, like a lot of bulk on the sides of those nails, and I cannot seem to avoid that for the life of me for some reason. I don't know why. So I always know, and I prepare myself, that I have to do a lot of filing, whether it be with the e-file or with my hand file. I always know that this design requires me to do a lot of filing, so I have to prepare myself mentally for that. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to perfect this little line here, the smile line, because the brush is caking up on me, and those fraying lines are my nemesis. But you gotta deal with it, right? So then here now I'm going to take the next color of nail polish, which is the pink, the light pink. I'm going to place it underneath and on the sides of the orange that we just placed down, with the clear over top of it. And the color application gets a little bit easier too as you go down the nail too, because you're not having to put as much color down because there's not enough room as you go down the nail. So mostly I just try to concentrate on lining up the smile line as much as possible, so that it doesn't look wonky when you're finished. When you've finished filing, it looks really weird in the end because it's not all lined up. That was one of my fails too. I forgot to. I don't think I forgot. I just thought perhaps maybe I didn't need to follow the basic rules of learning how to do the French, and I didn't do the lines, and it did turn out awful. So I'm just glad I wasn't filming that now. But this pink one was a little bit harder to see over top of the orange. But nevertheless, I still was able to get that smile line down there as much as I wanted and as far out as I wanted. But I could have actually done a way bigger smile there, just for, you know, for using some more room on the nail, but I didn't plan for that. Unfortunately, this was the first time I'm doing one of those massive stilettos. So, lesson learned for next time. I'll remember I can do bigger designs on a stiletto with more canvas. So now then I'm just placing down the clear to cover over the pink that we just laid down after it dried. And it's just a little battle here with the acrylic because It keeps running on me, and my brush keeps getting caked with all the acrylic. And I'm trying to tuck it in without it running. It's really hard to tuck something in when you've got brush hairs flying and it grabs some acrylic from one place and put it somewhere where it doesn't need to be. That is very frustrating, and I learned that as I went along with this brush because it kept doing it even more and more as I used the acrylic. So I got more and more frustrated, but I couldn't really switch out my brush. I just tried taking a smaller brush to tuck in the lines, but if I used that small brush to try to pick up a big bead, it wouldn't let me pick it up, so I'd be here forever laying down like 5 different beads just for one. So I just used the smaller brush to kind of lift it and tuck it in places and tighten up the line a little bit. It worked well. It's just too small to actually to use it as my main brush. It wouldn't pick up enough acrylic that I needed. So right here I'm just adding a little bit more clear to the place that I've just missed. You can see it, like the brush looks like a spider. It's weird. Now looking at it, I don't know how I was able to function. But I did it. So yeah, lesson learned. Make sure that you have a proper brush. And look at that bulk on there. Yep, I'm going to be filing like a champ on this one. But at least you can see that I kind of see me draw it along the end there, so I still have that edge, so I can file it nice and crisply so that I can put the next color down. It's kind of funny looking at the body of where all the acrylic is and how thin that little part of the nail is. It kind of looks funny, but and actually it looks funny, but it's impressive at the same time to me, because I know that I was the one that built that little thin nail for this reason. So though it looks funny, I'm quite impressed at the same time. I know, twisted, isn't it? I know, I'm a little twisted. My bad. I don't know, for some reason I just like rainbows and bright colors, even in the winter, so that's why I wanted to try this. So now I'm laying down the very last color, which is not white. It will be yellow. But I had an epiphany before I actually laid down the yellow, knowing that the yellow is going to look really watered down and dull. So if I put the white down first and then put the yellow over top of it, that yellow is going to pop. So that's why I laid down the white first here, so that I could lay the yellow and make it pop. Now, like, this is what I was explaining to you earlier about so much of the length of the yellow, because it didn't go all the way down to the very end of the nail because of how long I did the stiletto. But it still actually wasn't so bad. I would have liked a little less of the yellow, but oh well, live and learn. So there we go. Now that the white is dried, I can put the yellow over top of it so that yellow will pop. And I already filed that line to a nice crispness so that we can get the same effect with the yellow. The nail's actually so long that it's not even in the frame. There we go. Spoke so soon. So there we go. Now that the yellow has dried, all there is left to do is put some clear over top of all of that yellow so that it flows with the rest of the nail. Now, because there is so much bulk at the top with all the other color, I had to use actually a little bit more clear. Not a biggie. Just didn't want it to look funny. And I had to use the bigger brush for the clear. Even though it was giving me some grief, I still had to use it because I picked up more acrylic as opposed to that little tiny one. I'd be here forever still trying to lay down the acrylic. So hey there. I think it looks cute. It is really bulky, but once you get it all filed down, it's not going to be so bad. So I spared you all having to watch me file this because it literally took me, I'm going to say the good part of an hour. So I show you a little bit of the filing here. But after a while, I just say, you know what? I'm going to spare you guys this. And I just filed off camera. And I sped it up significantly too. So you didn't have to hear and watch it all go on. I just wanted to show you a little bit of the filing, just so that you know I actually did file it, and then filed the rest off camera. It really was a pain in the butt trying to file that, and see how thick it is, but the thickness right now is not my concern. The fact that it actually turned out, but not yet though, we actually need to see that fat lady sing. So we need to put some of this clear nail polish and watch this beautiful thing come to life. Oh, do you see that? How vibrant is that? That is absolutely beautiful. Oh yeah. You know, how satisfying is that? It's beautiful. Now I know that nail itself is a little thick, and that's just not my concern right now. I just wanted to see if I could actually do this 3D French. And man, oh man, it turned out beautiful. I am quite impressed with myself. See how beautiful that is? And like I said, this camera does not do that nail justice because it is fantastic. I am patting myself on the back as I speak. So I just thought I'd kind of jazz it up a little bit and add a few rhinestones to the yellow part of the nail. Just for a little pizzazz. Kind of looked a little plain there with the yellow, so I wanted to add a little sparkle to it. So just add a few of those little Swarovski crystals, and they are real Swarovski crystals. Sorry, I can't speak. A couple of different sizes, I think, the smaller sizes. And they're just being placed on there with the top coat that I just put over top of it. I didn't use any glue or anything. And see how pretty that is? Oh, I think I did a fantastic job. I'm tooting my own horn right now. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing it too, actually. It was quite fun. So here is the finished product. And like I said, the camera's not doing it justice. It looks fantastic. And in a second, you'll also see alongside this nail is the nail that I actually used to practice. So I wanted to show you guys that one too, just so that you could see the difference of the stilettos. They both turned out fantastic. Depends on which size that you like. But they turned out fantastic. I'm quite proud of myself. So I appreciate you all watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, stay groovy. Bye for now.